Hello, all you superhero deep divers. Welcome to a new episode. My name is Jason. I am your host as always. I have a pretty interesting show. I called it last week and I'm sticking by it. I'm covering Mr. Miracle today, but let me get my disclaimers out of the way. I have a couple of small announcements and we'll get into it. Now, the information is pulled from different sources across the internet and may or may not be completely complete, but they do give a really good insight on the current superhero. Also, you can find me every Tuesday and Thursday throughout the day on Outworld Fleet Radio. Their website is www.un-conventional.com/radio. You can catch me on Twitter or Instagram under Super Deep Dive, and I try to use the hashtag superherodeepdive. You can also email me directly at b4itall, so b4itall@yahoo.com, and you can catch me every day, because I post videos every day on YouTube under Superhero Deep Dive. Please like, subscribe, comment, share with a friend. Help me grow the channel. If you have questions, comments, critiques, requests for future episodes, ideas, fun facts I may have missed, feel free to add them. Everything gets acknowledged. I love you all. Okay, that's done. Now, announcement time. It is time for announcement time. That was really redundant. I'm sorry about that. I am going to be with the Talk Nerdy to Me crew, which is Coron and Flanagan, hosts of Friends with Benefits podcast, which is my favorite podcast. I encourage you all to check them out. I believe Obi-Wan Kenobi will be there as well from the Nerd Alert podcast and a Western Kentucky Ghostbuster. As many others, and I'll be there. We're going to be at Vet City Comic Con or Vet City Con on Saturday, March 11th, and that's at the Corvette Museum in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Come, meet us, check us out, get some giveaways because I'm sure we'll have some. And yeah, I'm sure we'll have some. Have some fun. Let's have conversations. We'll do some games and stuff. It'll be a lot of great times. Okay, with that all out of the way, let's get into Mr. Miracle. I am covering scot-free Mr. Miracle because that is the more popular, the more mainstream Mr. Miracle. There were actually like 3 of them. There's a new one out right now. I don't have a lot of information on him, so I decided not to cover him. I wanted to cover the ones that, if you watched a cartoon with him in there, or if you pulled up a issue, more than likely you're going to see the scot-free version. So, Scot-Free is actually the son of Isaiah Highfather, the ruler of New Genesis, and his wife Avia. As part of a diplomatic move to stop a destructive techno-cosmic war against the planet Apocalypse, Highfather agreed to an exchange of heirs with the galactic tyrant Darkseid. The exchange of heirs as hostages was supposed to guarantee that neither side would attack the other. So Scot-Free was actually traded for Darkseid's second-born son, Orion. Scott grew up in one of Granny Goodness's terror orphanages, with no knowledge of his own heritage, but still refused to allow his spirit to break under the ever-present torturous training of the institution. As he matured, Scott rebelled against the totalitarian ideology of Apocalypse, and hating himself for being unable to fit in despite his unfailing defiance of the abuse he suffered, Scott was influenced by Metron to see a future beyond Darkseid. Scott became part of a small band of pupils who were tutored in secret by the Apocalypse resisted leader, He-Man. It's Himon. I'm going to say He-Man because I don't want to say what it really sounds like. A New Genesian, which is someone from New Genesis, living undercover as a hunger dog of Apocalypse. Or on Apocalypse, not of Apocalypse, I'm sorry. It was at these meetings that Scott met Lieutenant Big Barda of Darkseid's female Furies, and who would later become his wife. Eventually, Scot-Free escaped and fled to Earth, and his escape, long anticipated and planned for by Darkseid, nullified the pact between Darkseid and Highfather, giving Darkseid the excuse he needed to revive the war with New Genesis. Once on Earth, Free met circus escape artist Thaddeus Brown, whose stage name was Mr. Miracle. Brown was impressed with Scott's skills, especially as supplemented with various advanced devices that he had taken from his previous home. Scott befriended Brown's assistant, a dwarf named Oberon. When Thaddeus Brown was murdered, Free assumed the identity of Mr. Miracle. Barda later followed Scott to Earth, and the two used their new god's powers, equipment, and skills in the war against Darkseid, who was still interested in recapturing both of them. Eventually, tired of being chased on Earth by Darkseid servants, Scott Free returned to Apokolips to win his freedom by legal means through trial by combat. So Scott Free later met Thaddeus Brown's son Ted, and Free later also became a member of the Justice League International, as did Barda and Oberon, which recast him and Big Barda as semi-retired superheroes that sought to live quiet lives in the suburbs when they were not involved in Justice League-related adventures. In particular, Scott Free was recast as a henpecked husband who often found himself on the receiving end of his wife's temper over her desire to live a quiet life on Earth. This is how I remember Scott Free when I was growing up. So this will explain my final thoughts on him. But let's see here. During this time on the League, Scott developed an intense rivalry with Justice League villain Manga Khan. The villainous intergalactic traitor and black marketer repeatedly kidnapped Scott, ultimately convincing Scott's conniving former manager Funky Flashman into forging documents, forcing Scott to work for Manga and his personal entertainer. To force him to go along willingly, Khan replaced Scott with a lifelike robot who was ultimately murdered by Despero during his first mission with the Justice League. Scott ultimately escaped from Manga Khan's clutches and reunited with his wife and friends, though the shock was enough to cause Scott to ultimately quit the League and to take on a protege in the form of Shiloh Norman. In the conclusion of Final Crisis, many of the new gods are all seemingly reborn. Among their numbers are the apparently resurrected Mr. Miracle and Barda. And in September of 2011, the New 52 rebooted DC's continuity. In this new timeline, Mr. Miracle appears alongside Big Barda, flying around the ruins of Gotham City on Earth 2. Their purpose is revealed to find the mysterious new Batman, which is thwarted when both are attacked by Fury. See, so there's not a whole lot of information on him. But yeah, he was portrayed for so long as this kind of goofy, henpecked husband that it was really hard to look at him as anything more than a joke. But let me get into his powers. We'll kind of go from there and see what else we can find. So his powers, like all the new gods, Scott Free is functionally immortal. Having stopped aging around the age of 30, he has developed an immunity to toxins and diseases. Scott also has superhuman strength, agility, speed, coordination, and reflexes, along with incredible stamina. Due to his exhausting and rigorous life on Apokolips, his body has tremendous resistance to the extreme temperatures, physical injury, psychic influence, and he is capable of extremely rapid recovery. Scott Free also has a genius-level intellect and is knowledgeable about much of the universe. During his life on Apokolips, he was instructed by He-Man in the science and use of advanced Fourth World technology. He's a genius inventor who has designed most of the equipment in his costume, including his mother box. Now, Scott was trained by Granny Goodness as an arrow trooper. Although he despises violence and is often portrayed as a pacifist, he is still an exceptional warrior, instructed in all combat techniques of Apokolips and very skilled with weapons. On one occasion, he was able to beat Big Barda. Also, he is a master escape artist and acrobat. He is considered better at escapes than Batman, and much more of his skill is the result of his advanced physiology. Scott Free is the heir of the Alpha Effect, which is the antithesis of Darkseid's Omega energy. This power was almost unlimited and allowed him to manipulate energy in many ways. For example, if he was able to knock out the Asgardian god Thor, draining his vital power. Also, Mr. Miracle used his godlike powers to resurrect his wife and battle against Steppenwolf and Calabac, temporarily stopping the war between New Genesis and Apocalypse. Later, Scott relinquished his heritage, because why not? If you can literally stop wars, why not just relinquish that, right? That's a good move. Good job, asshat. Anyway, Scott possesses greater power as the embodiment of the anti-life equation. This ability is fueled by rage and negative emotions. The anti-life equation can give any being the power to dominate the will of all sentient and sapient life races and alter the reality, space, time, matter, and antimatter at the cosmic level. Mr. Miracle proved to be powerful enough to fight Superman and Orion together. You know, this is basically like giving him the Infinity Gauntlet. You know, if you want to put it in more popular terms, he had the power of the Infinity Gauntlet. In the New 52 rebooted DC continuity, Mr. Miracle retains the status of a new god and has been reborn more powerful than before. Mr. Miracle is able to lift at least 50 tons, and he is shown to have a high level of invulnerability, enduring space's rigors, surviving the explosion of 3 boom spheres, resisting attacks of powerful beings such as Darkseid, and his combined reflexes, speed, and agility make him able to dodge almost any attack, even from 2 apocalyptian assassins, as he did with Lashina and Kanto. In addition, Mr. Miracle has a limited healing factor and a great variety of mental tricks that allow him to break free of psychic influence. Mr. Miracle is still a super escape artist and an expert combatant, successfully defeating Fury, Wonder Woman's daughter. Some of his equipment. He's got a mother box. The mother box can access the energy of the source for various effects. It can change the gravitational constant of an area, transfer energy from one place to another, sense danger, sense of life, create force fields, transmute matter, absorb or project powerful shock blasts, create electrowebs of atoms, control the mental state of a being, communicate telepathically with the host or other life form, manipulate the life force of a host to sustain it past fatal injuries, teletransportation, open and close boom tubes, and more. Because what more do you need? We don't know, but it can do it. His costume. Mr. Miracle's costume is magnetically sealed and provides limited protection from damage and fire. It contains numerous hidden pockets, and each glove and boot has a pocket in the slim utility belt, or it has a pocket and the slim utility belt contains half a dozen more. A secret pocket on the upper right arm hides his mother box. Yeah, I'm just gonna let that be. His mask contains circuitry for his mother box and a life support unit. The circuits let Scott use his mother box hands-free. The life support system lets him survive in hostile environments, as what most life support systems should do, right? I mean, that's kind of the goal. So, kudos. Alright, his gloves. They have wide cuffs that hold Scott's multi-cube and assorted picks. In addition, the gloves can fire concussive blasts and generate enormous electric power and contain a fingertip laser for fine wielding or burning. His hidden circuits have the ability to create fission blasts and mini shockwaves. His boots contain laser discs capable of burning almost any surface. His cape is also made of a memory fibroid from New Genesis. Scott's mother box can transmute the cape into a cocoon that can withstand a sizable explosion. This can only be done once, however, and the transmutation is not permanent and destroys the cape. He's got arrow discs, which are thin metal plates about a foot across. The new gods use them for personal travel. They can reach speeds of 250 miles per hour, and Scott has modified his disc considerably for battle. They can be attached to the forearms to use them as shields or blades. And his multi-cube is a peripheral device for Mr. Miracle's mother box. The cube was designed by Mr. Miracle to use the transmutation power of the mother box to create a number of preset mechanisms in its interior. All these functions are much easier to perform than improvised transmutation. They can be activated in stressful situations, and the cube is small enough to be hidden in the palm of the hand. The multi-cube is not sentient but is still capable of interpreting complex commands and recording data. The multi-cube can fly under its own power and follow the mental commands of Mr. Miracle. The cube also can use the transmuting power of the mother box to create several hundred feet of swing line. Besides the cable, the cube can produce a smokescreen or fire suppressant foam. The simplest use of the cube is to generate light effects. The cube can also create lifelike holograms, a blinding flash, or a laser capable of cutting through steel cable or handcuff links. In hologram mode, the cube can also record extended scenes or make a complete holographic recording. It can then manipulate the playback to simulate, not stimulate, the subject in motion. The cube can emit a powerful sonic beam that can spring lock or shatter a brick wall. The sound blast can stun an unprotected human. Now, I like how they said in its simplest form, but I have also found a multi-cube in its simplest form as a tremendously awesome paperweight. You should try it. I have. Alright. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think of Mr. Miracle? He's got a ton of power. Doesn't do anything. Doesn't do a lot with it. He's got amazing gadgets. He's like Inspector Gadget in DC world. Only a new god. But, it's just, everything is just kind of there, right? Let's go into fun facts. Mr. Miracle makes minor appearances in series set in the DC animated universe. After making non-speaking cameo appearance in the Superman animated series episode Apocalypse Now Part 2, and the Batman Beyond 2-part episode The Call, and the Justice League episode Twilight, he makes a speaking appearance in the Justice League Unlimited episode The Ties That Bind as an adult, and by Zack Shada as his younger self. Alright, Mr. Miracle appears in Batman the Brave and the Bold. He also appears in the Justice League action episode It'll Take a Miracle. And he makes a cameo appearance in the Harley Quinn episode Inner Parademons. An alternate universe incarnation of Mr. Miracle makes a non-speaking appearance in the flashback in Justice League Gods and Monsters. If you haven't watched that movie, don't worry about it. It's a terrible movie. You're not missing anything. Alright. Director Ava DuVernay and comic writer Tom King were collaborating on a New Gods film, because we definitely need that, which would have featured Mr. Miracle and Big Barda, but the project was cancelled in April of 2021. Mr. Miracle appears in the DC Universe Online via the Halls of Power downloadable content trilogy. Mr. Miracle also appears as a playable character in LEGO DC Supervillains, and he also has the complete... Oh, and other fun facts, I'm sorry. We're out of video game stuff. Mr. Miracle also has a complete anti-life equation. The anti-life equation is said to give the being who learns it the power to dominate the will of all sentient and sapient races, and is called the anti-life equation because if someone possesses absolute control over you, you're not really alive. But he refuses to use it, as it reduces other beings to mindless slaves. Most recently, in his anger over the death of Barda and his friends, Scott has revealed he possesses greater power as the embodiment of the anti-life equation, in which his power, for all purposes, allows him to warp reality, space-time, matter, and antimatter on a cosmic level. The ability is apparently fueled by rage and negative emotions, which Scott himself doesn't have a personality for normally. Mr. Miracle also has what's called the Alpha effect, which is the antithesis of Darkseid's Omega effect. Although eventually choosing to relinquish his power, he still kept a sliver behind for use. Just for safekeeping. Okay. Send me your thoughts on this. Like I said, you can reach out to me via email at b4itall, so b4itall at yahoo.com. You can catch me on Twitter and Instagram under superdeepdive. My DMs are always open. You can catch me on YouTube under superherodeepdive. Comment, like, subscribe, share. Help me grow the channel. Also, if you have any requests, critiques, fun facts I may have missed, things that I may have missed about Mr. Miracle or anyone else on any of my other podcasts, please comment. Let me know. Everything gets acknowledged. Some things I do keep out because I don't feel it is that pertinent to the character. But if you feel it is, let me know, and let me know like how it has affected the character, because I love having those conversations. That, and if other people listen to the podcast later and they read it, then they get a greater knowledge as well. All right, let me get into my final thoughts here. So when I was growing up, my cousin had a bunch of the DC Comics superheroes figurines. The one where if you squeeze the legs, the arms moved, like super punching action. They also had like the little fabric capes that had the thing that was snug around the neck. Those things. They were awesome. Well, anyways, there was a Mr. Miracle one. So before I even knew who he was, we had that figure, and needless to say, at the time, he was the coolest figure out there, hands down. Like, he was colorful. He had this costume that had cool designs. He looked like the guy that if someone came around, you wouldn't know who he was. Like, you couldn't tell, like, oh yeah, look, that's Clark Kent. Oh, that's Bruce Wayne under all that. Like, you couldn't tell, so, like, awesome costume. But once I knew who he was, I can't say that he's gotten any cooler. In my opinion, and remember, this is just my final thoughts. I would love to hear what you guys think. But he's got a whole lot of potential. But I don't know where to go with him or what to do with him. Like, he's got a cool story. His costume's awesome. But to me, it's just something missing from him as a character. I think the best place I remember seeing him was him in Kingdom Come, where he helped build the super prison, the Gulag. And that was because he was an escape artist, so he made it so that he couldn't even escape from it. But all that meant was that at some point, everyone escaped from it, right? It's comic logic. You can't argue it. If you don't understand, you wouldn't understand. And that's simply because in comic logic, you aren't meant to understand. You just have to accept the fact that if it's there, someone's going to break through. Someone's going to break it. But I really don't know what to do with this character. So what would you do? He's got this insane power set and a ton of morality on top of it, where he doesn't want to hurt people. He doesn't want to take people's will from them. But for everything that he's got going for him, he's never really been seen, at least in my knowledge, as someone serious at all. Like, so where would you go with him? What could you do with Mr. Miracle? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. Email me at b4atall@yahoo.com. Send me a DM on Twitter or Instagram under superherodeepdive. Help me figure this out, because I simply don't know. Mr. Miracle is one of those characters. He looks awesome, but you always see him like, and he's not even like Goofy, where it's like Deadpool Goofy, where you're like, okay, cool, he's gonna be awesome and make a bunch of wisecracking comments and stuff, but still get the job done. With Mr. Miracle, you just don't know. You're like, will he even get the job done? Like, he's not Deadpool. He's not that goofy character. He just comes, and I hate to say it, but he comes across kind of pathetic to me. But let me know what you think. Let me know, am I missing something? And I really hope I am. Let me know in the comments. But in the meantime, like, subscribe, share. I hope I see you guys on Saturday the 11th of March at Vet City Con. I'll be there. I've got travel arrangements already made, and it's about 2 weeks away, or I guess a week and a half. But yeah, I'm gonna step out for now. Like I said, let me know what you think, because I am pulling up daisies. I got nothing. But in the meantime, I hope everyone is blessed. I hope everyone's happy. I hope everyone is safe. I hope everyone is smart. But if you're not smart, don't get caught. I will see you guys later. See you next week. Bye-bye, guys.